Everybody. My name is Matt Ames. I'm the Public Works Director with the Village of Broadview. We have our Chief, Thomas Mills. So the reason we wanted to have this informational gathering is to let you all know that Broadview's plans for capital improvements is along the Roosevelt Road corridor. And some of the things that we do intend to do is to provide municipal parking lots and diagonal parking lots for the commercial businesses up and down Roosevelt Road and their patrons to use. What we're also attempting to do is to keep that traffic flow within the commercial corridor. Those of you that live in the 2000 or 2100 block of 18th Avenue are often calling our office and the police because folks that frequent businesses, mainly the beauty supply and the Uncle Remus and the liquor store, will bring their eats, their drinks in front of your homes. They'll eat, throw it out curbside. Years ago, we put up the signs for residential parking only because at the time the town tapped and the Blue Note patrons would also use it as a call to park in front of your residential homes. So what the obvious thought was is to direct that traffic at the top of 18th Avenue, either back out on Roosevelt Road, so that will be two ways from the alley to Roosevelt Road. That will no longer be a one-way in only. So they'll be able to park, turn around and go back up to Roosevelt Road, or they'll be able to go left to 19th Avenue and come out to Roosevelt Road, or right to the other municipal lot and back out to 17th Avenue. We chose a planner because just that. At some point we hope that psychologically that those individuals that come into Broadview will understand that the residential area intended for the residents and the commercial parking is made available to them. Not a permanent structure, but one that can be moved if in fact at some point in time the village determines to do so. Also, our intentions is to put resident parking signs only, not only in the 2100 block of 18th Avenue, 19th Avenue, 20th Avenue, down to 23rd. And on the south side of Roosevelt Road, in the 2200 block, I believe from 15th Avenue back to 19th Avenue. So once again, the goal is to not have the area, residential area, inundated or distressed with vehicle traffic that is here to do business in the commercial corridor. I do know we did cul-de-sacs over in the 80 acres area. Trying to avoid vehicle backup on Roosevelt Road, which is a state route, and also 290. So initially it is an inconvenience, but the benefit outweighs the convenience. Chief?
As Director Ames explained, so again, this is for informational purposes only. We're trying to gather the input of the residents here. There's no perfect plan ever when you start trying to change things. You know, I mean, in our meetings, like I said, you know, the goal of the Village of Broadview and the Roosevelt Road corridors, we wanted to look as good as Oak Park's business corridor, as well as Forest Park and things like that. And we're trying to entice businesses to come to Broadview, but at the same time, you know, we have to enforce the laws of parking, as well as protect your residential neighborhoods in front of your homes, things like that. I've only been here a short time, and I am pleased, but I see like Saturday mornings, Sunday mornings when I ride through here, all the garbage that, you know, the people, all of the bags from Uncle Remus, things like that. And we've had conversations with some of the business, mainly the Chicken Shack. And I'm not saying nothing negative, because, you know, they do their job, they serve, and, you know, you can't make an excuse for ignorance. People eat and they just toss it as they're going down the street. But then when they toss it, it's tossed into the neighborhood. So that's what we wanted to have this meeting to get some ideas, some suggestions, good or bad. Now, I don't think any of these suggestions are going to be bad. You know, I think we're prepared to, as Director Ames says, look at everything you all are saying so we can come up with the best possible plan. Not a perfect plan, the best possible plan. So that's all I have, sir.
To the chief's point, we understand that change is sometimes not received well for a lot of reasons because of the fact that a lot of folks don't have the complete information. But I will tell you that the village is intending to open up those municipal lots that we recently brought online on Roosevelt Road. We intend to provide overnight parking zones. We intend to enforce pay-for parking along the commercial corridor. And right now we're discussing with our legislative body and also the parking vendor rates, times of enforcement, so on and so on. So at this time, I would love to hear from you all, but please, I'm going to encourage you to respect this meeting in the same manner that we've called you out to try and inform you. Again, we can agree to
cul-de-sacs. And I really like the idea of having a cul-de-sac. And if I can just talk about some of the pros and the cons of them.
Ma'am, can I ask you first, I'm sorry, if I can get you all to identify yourself and where you live?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
My name is Sheila Armour, and I am right at 2106 South 18th in Broadview. And I've lived there for almost 20 years now. And actually, Director Ames has already talked about some of the perils that we've experienced, you know, in that 2000 and 2100 block on 18th. And but as I was looking at the pros and the cons of having a cul-de-sac, some of the pros would be it will be less traffic on our street. And also, it has been written that if we decide to sell our homes in that area, if we have a cul-de-sac, it's because it's safer, it's quieter, it's safer for the kids. Our properties would sell 20% more than if we didn't have the cul-de-sac. So that's a good point, I think. And not saying that we want to sell, but I'm just saying if you were to want to do that. And then, just like I said, it's the kids would be safer. They would be able. That something is going to happen over there, and we don't want to be reactive. We want to be proactive, and also putting a cul-de-sac there would actually bring us together closer as neighbors. It would be a good place for us to have block parties. I mean, I know a lot of you all's first names, but I don't know everybody's last name. And I also am one of your trusted trustees that actually I'm currently sitting on the board right now. And so those are some of the pros that I see. You don't have to agree with me, but I just wanted to let you know. And then some of the challenges that we might have coming down those blocks would be if there was like an emergency or fire in your home, you know, it would sort of delay, a minute or two could, definitely make a difference if, one of the service providers, the fire or, an emergency vehicle wasn't able to get to you fast enough. And then also Director Ames's department, Public Works may not be able to, come in and get the snow as quickly as they could. But then they can make us first, right? They can make that downtown Gold Coast area like a priority, right? But I'm just putting that out there. And if there's like a storm or something like that, or power line, like with a limb or something like that, it might be a slight delay, in getting those emergency vehicles over there to fix that. It'll be less parking on the street, but I already have pretty good. I got like 4 to 6 places around my little plot, where if I have a family get together or something, that I could park. And you guys probably have that too. Well, it's okay. It's all right. And then it'll be more of a challenge if you have like a neighbor, not a good neighbor like myself, but like a neighbor that doesn't really take care of their property or something like that. And it might be hard to escape, a bad neighbor. So those are just some of the cons or not so positive things that I was looking at. And if you guys want to add anything, that's the whole reason why we're here. We really wanted, that's why Director Ames and Chief Mills put this together for us to really talk about it. So who wants the mic?
Here, please. Thank you. I want to address some of the concerns that Ms. Armour brought to your attention. First off, we don't haphazardly do anything. We don't just decide that we're going to close off streets or move directions of traffic without first running it by a safety committee meeting. And our safety committee is our first responders, our police, our fire, our public works. We've already vetted out, most certainly with the emergency and first responders, if there would be any issues. Absolutely not. There's not any issues on the north side. I know at one time we had some concerns as to whether or not it would impede the policing and the response time over there. The fact of the matter is that it actually helped and that it reduced or eliminated some of the issues that was going on in the area. Public Works plow those cul-de-sacs without issues. I know the police and the fire have responded in those areas without issues. And in discussing this with the safety committee, we don't think that there would be any of those issues. Also, there was a concern about traffic being forced through the residential alleys. That is an enforcement piece now. So we have vehicles that traverse up and down our alleys, east and west, even though we have the no-through traffic signs there. Some are outside the community. Quite a few are inside the community. So any issues as it relates to enforcement should, as always, be brought to the attention of our police department, and if they're not responsive, then to the mayor. Anybody else have a concern? Yes, ma'am. Please, state
Hi,
your
my
name
name is
and
Brown. I live in the 1800 block on, I'd like to know where this thing is exactly on 18th. The little flower.
The plaza?
Yeah,
So we, so.
I see.
Can you see it?
Can I see it?
Absolutely.
I see
We
the,
do not. As a matter of fact, I do believe he took a picture, and I
Okay.
don't know if he's gonna put it up.
oh, okay, it's right there
It's
across,
right at the
on the
top.
other side of the, alley.
That's correct. That's correct. So vehicles, in essence, would pull in, they would visit the businesses here,
Mm-hmm.
and they would turn around and come back out on Roosevelt Road. Or they can go west through the alley to 19th Avenue, or east through the alley to the municipal lot.
So we'd have to go to the alley to get home for those who live on the other side of this.
Not necessarily. Once again, you've got. Does not have a vehicle sticker, because we will have the signs posted residential parking only, should not come into that area to park, to walk down the block to the liquor store, or to Uncle Remus, or to the hair salon, or any other business on the Roosevelt Road corridor.
Okay, so
Is it possible
your
y'all can
vi-
stand like?
your
so we can
visitor,
see
if
what's
someone
up?
is coming to see you, like my daughter will check on me, how, does she, what about a sticker for her? How's that gonna work when she comes to check on me?
Well, and that's something. Right. And one other thing, let me say this, ma'am. So this is an informational piece. We need information from you all.
Right.
So we have not decided
Mm-hmm.
in hard stone exactly how we're gonna roll this out. Again, there's good, better, and best. And right now, we're looking for the best possible solution for us all. To the chief's point, with it, there will be some inconveniences, and what we're trying to do is mitigate as much of those inconveniences or concerns for you all that are gonna be directly impacted by this, okay? So that's what this is about. So we have that noted as it relates to guests,
Yes.
you know, visitors for those individuals in the block.
Okay.
Okay. So in other words, one more time, I see if I get this straight.
Can you please speak
If
into
we
the
live
mic?
on, if we live on, right down the street here, on the next, across
If you live
Fillmore.
in 2000, in the 2000.
Right, okay.
18th Avenue.
I'm gonna have to go down, 17th to Fillmore, right?
That's correct.
And turn in,
Or you can
Or-
come in off, well, yeah, that's correct.
that's it.
Or 20th Avenue, you can come in off of 20th Avenue on Roosevelt Road.
On Roosevelt?
That's correct.
And then come back.
And then come east to 18th Avenue, and you're right at home. But what we have found was most of the issues and most of the trouble, so to speak, that we see in this corridor, specifically two locations mainly. That's at 18th Avenue and 14th Avenue, where we also have the liquor store, okay? So we intend to have more policing, community service officer that will walk that area to make sure that the vehicles are adhering to the parking rules and most certainly are paying their fair share if in fact we do roll out the pay for parking.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm happy to see everybody here because it is a great concern. And so when we first got elected back in 2017, the community said that they wanted us to develop the Roosevelt Road corridor with more big commercial businesses. And so now we're at that point 5 years later. And so we have to accommodate the parking. And that's the parking for the visitors, but most certainly we have to take into consideration the residents that live in that particular block. And so we've been having studies, department head meetings, safety committee meetings, and now we have an informational meetings with you all. We had one on March 3rd or 2nd or something like that. And we got some feedback as it relates to those. The one that was most present to me was those that was greatly impacted and those that live in the 2000 and the 2100 block. And so we have to address that. So many years ago when the village rolled out cul-de-sacs by 14th on the other side of 17th, the rollout was not done properly. They did not engage the community to make that decision. And so we have to look at IDOT, how we, because we got deliveries and those types of things. So it impacts not just the resident, but the flow of traffic. And we have to make sure that we do it right this time, where we don't have to put up a cul-de-sac and then take it down because we didn't do it the right way. And so we want to make sure that we get input, get your questions, whatever concerns you may have, you need to address them with us. We want to roll out a good product, but we want the community to be safe in this decision. We want to make sure that the businesses that's getting ready to start opening up this summer can be conducive to the community and stay in the community for many years to come. And parking is going to be an issue. Well, I heard the concerns. We want to look like a downtown LaGrange. We want to look like Oak Park. We want to look like Forest Park. Well, we cannot look like those communities if we don't address the parking. And we got to be able that we can accommodate the businesses that's got to provide the service to the patrons that they patronize. So I'm happy to see everyone out here. I mean, we have a professional department leadership with the police chief, public works director, our building economic development department. They work intentionally to make sure we do the right thing. So if you have any questions or concerns, you gotta let us know, because what's gonna happen once we start putting in, if we gotta do zoning, we'll have another community meeting to address the zoning, to get feedback. But when it comes to the board for approval, the board is gonna make a decision to act on it. And I wanna make sure that you all are included in the decision that we do. We don't know it all. And you all live there. We wanna make sure that we can accommodate your visitors that come that may wanna stay a couple of days. We wanna make sure those that wanna come and just, stay a couple of hours, that, we accommodate those needs. So think about your visitors that may come, if you have guests that's out of town that's gonna stay about a week. Think about all of those things. Think about the weekend, like from Thursday to Sunday, potentially what that could look like. And I would encourage you to go to other communities like Berwyn, Oak Park, LaGrange, and see the traffic on the weekend. It's gonna be real tight for us. We just redid our municipal lots to accommodate parking. And we having conversations with, IDOT to accommodate the sidewalk traffic. So we gotta be intentional in the decisions that we make at this point. This is to take Broadview to the next level. And the next level is developing our commercial corridor. That's the phase we're in right now, is developing the commercial corridor to protect the integrity of the community and to protect our tax dollars. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry that I was late coming in, but, I'm sorry that I was late coming in, but I would like to know how this is going to impact me living 2029 South 19th Avenue. Will I still be able to, I usually use Fillmore all the time, going either east or west. Am I going to be able to come in and out,
Yes, you will, ma'am. As a matter of fact, this is specific with this block, and that's the reason why we hand-delivered the letters to the individuals that reside in the 2100 and the 2000 block 18th Avenue. To the mayor's point, what we did do is not try and reinvent the wheel. So we did the studies of our neighboring communities, mainly Forest Park, Berwyn, Oak Park, to see how they handled the traffic pattern. Roosevelt Road is a state route that runs from DuPage County all the way down to State in Michigan, okay? And certain maintenance agreements are put into place for just that. The city of Chicago has a maintenance agreement with the Illinois Department of Transportation to do certain maintenance when you get inside of their boundaries. But what we noticed when you go through Berwyn, when you go through Cicero, when you go through Oak Park on Roosevelt Road, this is a staple. This is something that has been proven to be effective. Also, we spoke with those in leadership, meaning the safety committee members and some legislators from those communities. This simple design, this simple fix has, in essence, mitigated a lot of the issues that they were having because you can see, if you drive those corridors, you see the activities and the businesses, from the Culvers to the Jewels to everything else that's burgeoning in those areas. But what they did was they got ahead of the curve, and they made sure that those individuals stayed within the commercial corridor. I don't have to tell you the impact of the individuals, once again, that frequent the businesses at the top here, that comes just down your blocks, whether it's speeding, you know, we get those complaints, am I correct, Chief?
Yes,
We got folks that are speeding down here, we got folks that are littering, that are dropping bottles, we got folks that are loitering, literally go to the liquor store, you know? So this is what this is intended to do. It is intended to mitigate that. As we go up and down Roosevelt Road, it's real specific. We've got zones, so we've been meeting with the vendors to make sure that, to the mayor's point, we roll it out to make sure that we capture the economic revenue that we're intending. What you all don't know is what we've been meeting with certain businesses that have already put in applications and for permits to demolish certain buildings on Roosevelt Road, to build certain structures, from cannabis to a new laundromat to a proposed multifamily development at 10th. And if you go west, those abandoned buildings, you see some activities going there. So the goal is, as the mayor said, is to develop the commercial corridor to where, A, we can provide ourselves with some retail tax, but also parking revenue. Most of the folks that come into Broadview that create the havoc, that knock over the planters that we just put on Roosevelt Road, the trees,
Armour, I acknowledge you.
that knock over, you know, the garbage cans and some other things are typically not from Broadview. And what we want to do is make sure that those individuals are, in essence, controlled. That's the intent. Without, as I say, with as much, as little inconvenience to us. I live in the north, I live in 80 acres. So the cul-de-sacs that we put up at 14th Avenue, just the barrier between Maywood and Broadview, I live in that area. And of course, you know, I had a neighbor that has a couple multifamily units. He says, Matt, you know, this is inconveniencing me. I says, nobody's inconvenienced more than me. And this is what we have to look at as department head, as leaders for the community. It's not about me. It's about the many. So I know this resident lives over in that area. And if you were to right now go and get a consensus for those homeowners, we're not talking about the folks that are transient that might be here this year and go on the next, but those homeowners are very, very grateful that we did that. We know that the school and the park is very, very grateful that we did that. To the mayor's point, we didn't do it in the best of manner. We didn't have the informational forum to get the feedback and to make folks aware of what was going on, as to not create the anxieties. Okay? So, Mayor, if there's any other questions,
Yes,
please.
we got two in the back.
Good morning. My name is Pearl, and I live in the 2100 block of 18. I understand that you're putting that barrier there, but also you have the liquor store, you have the club there. Why not close them down early so that maybe that would prevent some of the traffic too, so that we won't have this garbage sitting, you know, in front of your home and everything. So maybe close them down early so that we can have proper use of coming down 18.
When you say close them down early, I do know that the businesses that you're talking about, the beauty salon operates as early as 9 a.m., 7 days a week. Uncle Remus operates as early as 11 a.m., 7 days a week, and the liquor store as well. I remember the concern about the town tap was that we shut them down. But this is what we're trying to do, is we're trying to maintain our retail. We're trying to, again, encourage folks to come and spend in Broadview. We are.
So let me ask you this, define closing early. So Uncle Remus closed, I believe, at 9. The beauty supply closed at 8. The liquor store, I would have to check. The liquor store closed at 8.
And not only that, most of the activities and the distress on the community is in the daytime. I can
Right.
drive through there and I see folks at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, taking lunch. To your point, they come pick up their lunch, their beverages, and they go sit up under a shade tree. They will eat there at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And boom, they will leave the garbage curbside, drive away. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when you've got folks that are trying to avoid the backup on Roosevelt Road, they will speed down 18th Avenue to avoid that. So I don't think closing the businesses or forcing them to close any earlier or stay open any later would be as impactful as what it is that we're proposing.
So can I just add this? So my background is doing economic development, and I worked on the west side of Chicago on the Chicago Avenue corridor. And so when you're talking about retail and commercial businesses, when we close those businesses down, that makes us not a business-friendly community. We are a third residential, a third commercial, and a third industrial. And so the commercial corridor is that part of that third. And we do recognize, time frames and those types of things. That's why I was like thinking of, that's why I asked you to define the time. To Director Ames' point, most of this nuisance is during daytime hours or on the weekends, especially on Sundays when most of us are down on Sundays. I mean, we're not operating, the police department and the fire department are functioning, but then on Monday morning, Public Works is out there cleaning up that corridor to make sure that we can maintain our integrity of having a clean community on the Roosevelt Road corridor. So we want to attract businesses and not detract them from not wanting us, claiming that we're not business friendly because of business hours. And so this is the best solution. That's why I encourage you all that's in the room that's going to impact, go to Birdwin, go to Oak Park, go to LaGrange, and see how they cul-de-sac doing their high traffic value, because that's going to be the greatest concern, which is going to be between Thursday and Sunday. During the week, you probably won't have that type of activity, but we do have a restaurant that's coming online probably in June, and they are going to do very well. And so we have to put measurements in place so that we can protect the integrity of those residents that live on that particular block, because that's going to be on 17th, so that's going to create parking in residential area where I know I don't have this issue where I live at, but I wouldn't want just anybody just parking in front of my house any time of the day, because I won't feel safe. But if we put, I'm sorry? Well, no, but this will deter some of that for the parking, because this is going to just allow for those residents that live on that block where the cul-de-sac is or the planter is in place. I call it a cul-de-sac, but it's a planter. It's going to deter that, because you all will have your visitors parking there, because you guys know how to get in and out of that corridor. Visitors won't know that. So hold on one second. I'm going to go this way.
Well, my name is Tony Davis. I live on the 2000 block of 18th. I just want to understand something. Are you planning on making the 2100 block a two-way street?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's number
For
one.
residents only.
Okay, okay.
So the only people that should be on that block should be the residents. So to your point, you'll be able to drive down to your home, turn around and go back out. And as it relates to the 2000 block, it's still a one-way. Nothing's changed there. That traffic pattern is still pushing for folks north.
Okay, that's fine. Now, this section here before the planter, that's also going to be a two-way.
That's correct.
Now, you saying you're talking about mitigating traffic and trying to eliminate traffic, but if you're making this a two-way, we already got heavy traffic coming in. Now you got people who bagging out, trying to come out. That in itself, to me, will create more traffic, because number one, you got them coming and going. They bag up out of here, because I come down off of Roosevelt Road all the time to go to my house at 2000. And I know that there's a traffic problem, because people are trying to bag out. They're waiting for somebody to bag out so that they can get that parking space. That I understand. But if the configuration stays like it is right there, if you having somebody bagging out, trying to get back up to Roosevelt Road, that in itself will create a problem.
Yes, sir.
you know.
You're
So
absolutely
that's a bigger problem to me than for them just to turn around and go north, or even if they go to the left or to the right. You
You're
know,
absolutely correct.
But if you're trying to make that a two-way, that is a problem.
So that's exactly why, to your point, the parking, the way you see it now, will not be. You will have parking on one side or the other. So you're absolutely correct. There's not gonna be parking on both sides. There's gonna be parking on one side or the other, so that it's not, as we say, a cluster. So they'll be able to back out and come back out to Roosevelt Road. When I say back out, they'll be able to turn around and come back out to Roosevelt Road, not back out. But
Okay.
to be able to turn around, and have their vehicle space out toward Roosevelt Road and then make their turn. And once again, sir, this is not a reinvention of the wheel. This is a successful pattern that's repeated in Forest Park, Berwyn, Oak Park, and Cicero.
Well, I work out of Oak Park, so I know what's going on over in Oak Park. I've been over there for almost 15 years. The second point, now you've got more businesses coming in. There's already a parking issue. You know, there's not a lot of parking. 17th is almost just shut down with the new restaurant coming in, and then you got the senior citizen. That street you took away from us, right there on Fillmore. We can't go that way no more. You know, that street, as I recall, I didn't recall seeing any information about that, taking that street off our plate and making that just part of their facility and their parking. I didn't get that information. Well, I mean, I don't get everything. Okay, but I don't go, okay, that's on me. But anyway, so you're already gonna have an additional parking problem because you got a new restaurant coming on 17th in Roosevelt. We know the lounge is the lounge, and people are gonna come to the lounge. So that's expected on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even on some Sundays, that there's always a lot of, no parking. There's not a lot of places to park. There's not a lot of places to park on Roosevelt Road. So with the businesses, I'm just wondering, where are these people gonna park? I have no concern with the business at all, other than they put in their taxes into the community. But I don't see no additional parking places available to these businesses. I understand people on the 2100 block who have concerns about people parking on the block going to the lounge. And I understand that they had the same issue on our block, which is 2000. But we also know that on the 2000 block, that these people are not coming that far down to go to the lounge. And another issue we have with that is that parking enforcement for residents only. We had talked about this prior, not trying to get off track, but we had talked about this prior to eliminate that on our block, which is the 2000 block, where only residents park after 10 o'clock. Because some of us, we are seniors, we ain't not having all-night parties, but we do have family members who come by who stay after hours. And we don't want to have to call the police department every weekend saying we're going to have guests and they'll be there a little longer. We don't need our guests getting tickets on their cars to come visit family members. And we don't want to rush them out of the house. So that's another issue that we have. I just want to throw that out there. And then I'm done talking.
So can you address the parking?
Absolutely. Your name again, sir?
Tony Davis.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, what you all may not be privy to, although we have, to the mayor's point, tried to keep the community engaged via newsletters, website, community blasts, so forth and so on, is that we've been working on the parking for a while. That's the reason why we bought the 2 new lots online that's not complete. We plan to have kiosks there, EV charging stations, of course, a facade wall to protect the pedestrians from the traffic that might be parking in a lot, and so forth and so on. Our main intention is to make sure that as we provide the parking necessary for these businesses, whether it's the red velvet door, which is going to be a meeting place, a banquet hall, so to speak, is to make sure that once those businesses are up and running and successful, which we believe they will be, by virtue of what it is that they propose to the village, by virtue of what it is that we've investigated to make sure that they are not fly-by-night entities and that they do have some operation somewhere else that we can verify at least their practices. Is to make sure that the individuals that would come and frequent those businesses are not impacting you, Mr. Davis, or Miss Armour, or Miss Brown, or or you, sir. That's the goal for this meeting, is to make sure that you understand that we have a plan. And to your point, when we roll that plan out, when we open up those parking lots, when we put up the signs on Roosevelt Road on 17th Avenue, limiting the times that individuals can park, trying to direct them to our municipal lots and some of the other areas that we've gone through and spent millions of dollars, collectively, to bring online to accommodate these people, that they don't do anything except utilize what we're offering them, that they don't come and, to your point, sit in front of anybody's house, that they don't do anything that would be counterproductive for you and your home value. I do know, as Ms. Armour says, I had an appraisal done recently on my house, and I was pleasantly surprised. And I am in an area that borders Maywood. Oftentimes, I can't get food deliveries because folks say, hey, we don't deliver to Maywood. I'm in Broadview. But the good news is, as we watch the home values, the property values increase here in Broadview, we want to protect homeowners' rights, your visitors, you, and it's going to be some minor inconveniences, to get used to your point, man. Hey, baby, when you come see me, be sure to come off of Fillmore, because right there they didn't put some blocking you at 18th Avenue, or come off of 20th Avenue if you're coming off of Roosevelt Road, and then blah, blah. But people get used to the traffic patterns that live there. And what we also want to do is make sure that the folks that come to visit our commercial corridor are used to the fact that we can't do what we used to do, to your point. We can't pick up the weave, the alcohol, and the chicken and shoot down the street because we're trying to get to the expressway or to Maywood or to Bellwood. That's the goal.
Good morning. My name is Shanae. I'm on the 2000 block of 18th Avenue. My concern, I'm very clear on the parking goals that you have for the corridor. My concern is the restriction from 10 to 2 in front of my home.
No.
I am having, is that going away?
Yeah, you're in the 2000 block.
Yes,
So-
and we have the signs there that says no parking from 10 to 2, and for years, this is my neighbor, Tony parks behind my garage just so that his guests can have somewhere to park. That is a real inconvenience. All of this could be considered an inconvenience, but you learn to live with it, right? The overnight parking, you learn to live with that. But the 10 to 2, I mean, I am an adult. I bought my home when I was an adult, and I'd like to be able to have company after 10 o'clock without having to call the village to ask for permission. Again, may I offer, you guys have mentioned, what you're trying to do compared to other areas. There are something that's called like parking permit stickers that you can pass out to your guests. Look, I'm almost willing to pay for it. I just need to be able to have company after 10 o'clock and not call you guys.
So let me address that. So Trustee Armour had brought this up, that she was the one that engaged those that live on that block to sign a petition to put in some restrictions. And so she presented in front of the village board, and at that time, the village board approved that. So that was an initiative that was created by the now sitting trustee to put that parking in because of the Blue Note or the Town Tap or whatever it was back then. And so now that we hear what needs to take place, and that's why we wanted it to be an informational session so that we can hear the concerns, because you got a valid concern. And so that's something that we can bring back to the safety committee, and that's with the police chief, our building commissioner, and the director of public works, and let that team kind of digest that and do some more in-depth research on like what other communities are doing with parking restrictions that may have. I know like in Elmwood Park, the Johnny's Beef, they have some restrictions for parking because that restaurant is just so busy that you can't park over there during certain hours. So I'm gonna charge Chief Mills and Director Ames to look into Elmwood Park because they have that same situation that you're talking about. It's in a residential area, but they share with a commercial corridor. So let us look into that, and then we can report back to either another parking committee or we can discuss it at a village board meeting.
How do you become a part of this conversation?
So we have regular board meetings on the first and third Monday of every month at 7:30. We stream live. If you have a public comment, you're more than welcome to come to a public board meeting to address your concerns at a board meeting. Or you can email, we have forms online that you can email if you have a concern, a compliment, or a complaint, that you can do it online, and then we'll address it. I mean, it comes to my office, but I will delegate it to the appropriate department to address the issue. Okay?
Hi, my name is Bonita. I actually live on the 1900 block of 18th Avenue at 18th and Harvard. And so I have a slightly different issue that I don't know that you intended to cover here. But my question is there any consideration to a parking circle and not necessarily a cul-de-sac at the intersection of 18th and Harvard? Turnabout, because of the open, basically running through the stop signs. When you continue north on 18th Avenue at that corner, there is no stop sign for northbound on 18th. There are 2 stop signs on Harvard, but people run the stop signs often to make the light, or even coming back westbound, they just don't stop. And so I don't know if there's been any conversation about the turnabout, which would slow the traffic but not cut off the intersection.
I do know that we have had individuals ask for additional stop signs. I do believe that that intersection that you're talking about, you're right, we should probably make it 4-way stop. But a turnabout is not feasible, and most certainly in that area for a few reasons. But a 4-way stop could, in turn, improve the safety at that intersection. But let me say this, everybody. This is what I do know, is that we can put up all of the signs. If, in fact, it's not enforced, then it's still an issue. So we need not only the police, but we also need community involvement. There's things that go on. Again, I got lights out, and because Broadview is 2.2 square miles, and I get it, you're 2000 block of 18th Avenue, you don't know or even necessarily care about what happens north of Cermak Road. So unless you all make these requests to us, you know, and I think that you're right, I think that we should look into putting additional stop signs up at that intersection to make it a 4-way stop.
It would be 3-way because it's a 1-way going north.
You're right, right. So the additional stop sign would be on 18th, and would be right at the top of 18th Avenue. I almost had a collision there just last week. You know, somebody ran through the stop sign coming east.
At least 3 accidents.
Yeah. So we can look into increasing the. But let me say also a turnabout, and I'm familiar with those. I'm a fan of them. You know, when you go to certain southern cities, you see them quite often. But I think that would be more convoluted than what we're proposing here today. You know, when I say, first off, it would require a traffic study, most certainly participation with leaders over in Maywood, because outside of the first lot in the 1900 block, I think if you're in the 1900 block, if you're a Broadview resident, either you're 1944 or 1945. Otherwise, you're not a Broadview resident. You're a Maywood resident. So those are things that are beyond our control at this moment. But what we want to do is to try and put together some measures that we can control right now prior to these businesses that we know are going to come online here within the next 12 months and are probably going to be very, very successful. So, Chief, I think it would be a great idea to put additional stop signs up right there at the corner of Harvard and 18th Avenue. And Public Works will install it, but once again, We need to make sure that we vet it out. So we'll bring it before the safety committee meeting, meaning that the fire will be involved, the police, public works, our building department, the administration, to make sure that we've tried to look at everything.
Hello, my name is Donald Jackson. I stay on the 2100 block of 18th. Y'all talking about all the street traffic. What about the traffic in the alleys? If y'all sending this traffic through these alleys, you gonna have more traffic coming up to Fillmore from Roosevelt on 18th. On 18th and 19th, you're gonna have traffic going up through these alleys. You're gonna have twice the traffic. Are we gonna have more police controlling this traffic to ensure of what's going on in these alleys?
So, as Director Ames and the mayor stated earlier, you know, these are fact-finding and suggestion gathering. So, of course, we all put our insight in to do that. So we are already on the police department side, and I'm a big proponent. I don't ever want to hurt our hometown. You know, but we also have to enforce certain things. So I've expressed to our officers, you know, we always have the ability to use discretion, but we also have to get the message out. I know Director Ames and the mayor, they purchased real nice variable message boards. You'll see them out as we roll these things out to try to get the message out to the community, because you know, certain people are not social media, online, things like that. But we have a strategy in place to have a dedicated officer doing traffic, not only to enforce where we're writing tickets, but to give the messages, you know, to help the people that's coming in. Because I don't know if you already, I've had 2 conversations with the chief events in the past 2 months. One was at the Dunkin' Donuts. 85% of the people that came into Dunkin' Donuts does not live in Broadview. They're coming through. We had the second one at Broadview Family Restaurant, same thing. 85% of the people that was eating there, they don't live in Broadview. But they all told us when we were at Dunkin' Donuts, oh, we come here because it's safe. We went into the laundromat, it's safe here. So Broadview is very attractive. And, you know, we have people coming from Bellwood, Maywood. I hate to say this, but, you know, we had a very unfortunate accident on 17th Avenue. In our preliminary investigation is one of the cars, no one was involved in that accident lives in Broadview, but someone was coming to the laundromat. So, you know, Broadview is very attractive, and we want to make it more attractive. But we will enforce, but before we enforce, we want to message out. And you know, definitely use discretion, even like with the zone parking, Ms. Shanae, like I said, you know, these are small fixes that we can do as a village. You know, like I said, we have the manpower and our future goal, but, you know, before we just jump right in, you know, we have to have data. We have to see how our businesses are operating, things like that, because our goal is to eventually hire what we call a community service officer. You know, I'm sure you see them in Oak Park. They're not the police, but they enforce codes and traffic, things like that. They're on foot, they can be on bikes. That's our future goal, but before we can go into that, we have to research the data to see how the traffic flow is coming in, coming out. And again, like I say, you know, you can call the police department anytime and give us your suggestions. I have a very open door policy. If you come and pick up that phone in the lobby, that red phone, either myself or my deputy chief back there, Pierre Smith, we're in here. We'll come and bring you right to our office. Let's talk. I've had numerous citizens come in to voice their complaints, even with the snow removal back in the, you know, when we had the snow. You know, because if we don't know, it's hard for us to do anything. You know, so again, we have a plan in place to not target, but to help enforce and deter all that alley traffic. Because alleys are not thoroughfares, and they're not to be used as a thoroughfare, so. Okay.
And can I add to that, Chief? Sir, what we noticed when we did the cul-de-sacs over in the north side, 80 acres, was that same issue. You're absolutely correct. We've got folks that will intentionally break the law, no through signs, but the residents, what they did, they asked, they says, hey, can you guys put down speed bumps? And for me, I'm not a fan of speed bumps because it's an obstruction when we plow. However, we did put down speed bumps that we could remove during the winter months. And now we don't have to put those, I think we had to put them down for maybe the first 4 years. You know, and to your point, the messaging now becomes unless I want to tear my car up and trying to get out of Broadview or through Broadview, I need to avoid that. And we haven't had any requests to replace those speed bumps in the last 3 years. So to the chief's point, this is all dynamic. This is all new for any of us. Broadview has changed, you know, most certainly in my lifetime here in my tenure. And for you, sir, Mr. Davis, 20-something year resident, for all of us, you've seen the change. So as we go through the change or impose new things that we think will be beneficial, there's going to be some tweaking. And that's exactly what this conversation is intended to do. So let's tweak it. Let's find out good, better, and best. Let's figure out the best way, because you got a legitimate concern. I've seen these knuckleheads, for lack of a better term, try and circumvent exactly what it is that our laws say. So speed bumps could be a solution temporarily, along with enforcement.
Hello, my name is Joe Brown. I live at 2000 block at 18th Avenue. And you're talking about the people, say, from the alley there by the liquor store, they could turn around. They can be making a U-turn, backing up the traffic, traffic will be back up if you do that. And because there's not enough space to turn around there, they have to go through the alley, go to 19 or back to Fillmore, and that can create more problems. There was one day last week, I was going north, just before we got to the post office. Someone was making a left turn to the alley there where, you know, the new buildings right there. And no one could go around because the new configuration on 17 there, you have where you don't have the post office box there. Is that going to go back? You have at least three of those. And that's stopping the traffic. Traffic can't flow because when I get to Fillmore to go left, people can't go around me because right there from that new building, you know, senior place, you got these, I don't know what you call them, about three of them there. Traffic cannot go when people back up, they're making a left turn, and no traffic is moving at all. They make it look good, like they're on 18 there by Remus. You got that curve out there, and people cannot wait. They wait out in the street. If that wasn't there, they'd take them to extra parking space. And I think that, like I said, it makes it good like that. But when you put those things in there where they cut out and where people can't park, that's the problem. Shoveling snow. The plow got to go around over here. That's not good. I think it's concerning.
Mr. Brown, what you're talking about are bump outs. We got them up and down Roosevelt Road. As a matter of fact, that's part of our streetscape. And the goal is to, so do you know why folks park on the sidewalks on Roosevelt Road and on the west side of the street? They're no longer parking on the east side of 17th Avenue on the sidewalks. The reason they're doing that is the state traffic. Very, very dangerous. If in fact I've got a curb and when I open up my door, there's vehicles that are literally 6 inches away from where I need to step out at. So those are bump outs. The reason we increased the parking lane was just for that purpose. The bump outs have delineators. Those poles that you see are for us to know exactly where we need to plow, where somebody who might be driving at night, you know, that may not know that the bump outs are there, that they're identified. And we had to get permission from IDOT to do any of this work, okay? As it relates to, let's say, you said you can't make a left turn.
You can make a left, but someone behind you, and they on my phone, I see you, they can go around you to the right because they are blocking them. And they got no traffic on 17. Yeah. It's one way.
Well, and I would argue this, Mr. Brown. That is common on any state route that's not wide enough.
It's a new way of doing things, but still, it does not increase the flow of traffic. It hinders.
No, what we're trying to do is we're not trying to increase the flow of traffic. What we're trying to do is make it safe. And for me, I'm sorry?
When you increase business, you increase the traffic. Yeah, you know, so you got to have a safer.
Well, traffic is going to be increased because the businesses is going to be patronized. So the goal of the village is to make sure that we can have safe passage in our traffic. And so it's going to be an inconvenience. It's going to be a learned behavior. So we have to change the mindset. But we want to be real transparent and intentional with the decisions that we have to make. So, I mean, the concerns are all valid. Everybody have a valid concern. We want to get the information, go to the appropriate channels on what it is that we need to do. So if we need to revisit with IDOT on some of these traffic patterns, then that's what we need to do before we roll it out. But we need to make sure that we roll it out where we're not impacting a traffic safety measurement that could cause accidents, pedestrians getting hit. I know on Roosevelt Road, we went back and forth with IDOT as it relates to the sidewalk parking on Roosevelt Road, and this is a personal experience. When I got out my car, I couldn't get out the car, and I videotaped it, and I showed it to IDOT, and then they widened up the street. So sometimes we have to do proactive measurements to get them engaged, and I had to talk to our Speaker of the House about it. I talked to Senator Lightfoot about it. IDOT came to Broadview to address the concerns that we had on Roosevelt Road and on 25th Avenue. So if I have to do all of those things to make us safe traffic passage, that's what I'm here to do. As it relates to the residential component, we want to make sure that you guys are included in the decision that we have to make, because we're not perfect people. But what we have to do is we have to make a decision. And when it comes to the village board, we're going to make a decision. So we can go back and forth on what it is and what it ain't and how it's going to impact, but we need to make sure that we're transparent and we upfront with the constituents that live here that pay property taxes. Okay? So we're going to go to the next question.
I'm just looking at this picture, and this is the 2100 block on 18th, which is one-way going north. So what you're saying is that you're going to be able to go north, make that circle around, and come back and come back south. It just doesn't seem like the street is wide enough.
It's wide enough. Right now you have parking on both sides, and as I said earlier, we would eliminate the parking on one or the other side. Okay, so you're absolutely correct. If in fact we would leave the configuration like it is right now, you're absolutely correct. They would not be able to turn around and go back southbound. But eliminating parking on one or the other side, we'll make that decision, okay? It frees up, obviously, we've got a 30-foot right-of-way road plus an additional 10 feet of the stalls. So you'd have more than adequate space to turn around, unless you were trying to turn a semi-truck around up in there.
So it's gonna be two-way, 2100 block of 18.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the other point I got to make to my neighbor here, on the 2000 block of 18th Avenue. Now, I brought this suggestion up at a meeting over 3 years ago, pre-COVID, about our parking situation from 10 to 2. And I addressed the issue that we do have company who comes back during the summer, mostly during the summer when we have barbecues and outside events. I suggested back then that we get little stickers or tickets, if we have to pay for them, to pass them out to individual family members. Because what I had to do in the past, I had to have my family members to move on the Harvard side so they don't get a ticket. Now, this was over 3 years ago. There was nothing moved on that since then. So I don't understand why it would take so long to take the concerns of the people on that block to just take care of that situation. We're not asking for a whole lot. You don't require a long, extensive meeting. You don't need to require everybody involved. It's just to make a decision, say, okay, this is what the people want. And so let's just move forward on that. It's a simple fix. If it's just a matter of putting tickets out to constituents when they're going to have people coming, that's fine. but it's a simple fix. It doesn't take, it's been over 3 years now, and nothing has been done. So let's not go further any longer. It's a quick fix. Say, well, okay, we'll do this right now. I mean, you've been tabled long enough. So can we address that issue directly?
Absolutely.
We have addressed the issue, and I just heard from your neighbor, that was in the previous administration, that conversation took place. So we're proactive. We listen to the residents because I live here, you all live here, and we all gotta live here together, but in different sections of town. And when it comes to like the stickers or whatever, when you guys are having parties, that's a conversation that I can have with the leadership to say, this is just me, and I'm not saying that this is gonna happen, but I think those that live in that particular block should be able to come register the vehicles and pick up a parking pass. You shouldn't have to pay for that. You shouldn't have to pay for it, but that would be my recommendation to the safety committee team with the police department, because they are the ones that's gotta patrol it. No, but you'll have a pass, but you can come and say, my name is Katrina Thompson, I live at 1010, and I need 4 parking passes for this, and it'll have an expiration date. And so they when you come to the window, they put the expiration date on it, you'll get it. When it expires, if that car is still there, they will be ticketed.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam the Chief. I live my last name is Tucker, and I live at 2100 on 18th. That is the busiest corner in the world. It's busy when there aren't any accidents or gas giveaways. Really, it is. It's amazing to look out, see a UPS truck trying to go the other way in your area, but I understand that. My question is, there's only one stop sign there that's heading north. Is it an inconvenience or a major blockage to put stop signs going? They're going to address it. They did on 18th and Fillmore. Okay, I missed that then. They said
18th and Harvard.
Fillmore. Yeah.
But that's an easy address.
Can that
Ms.
be
Tucker?
done?
That's an easy address.
That wouldn't make too much congestion.
No.
Since it's going to be extra traffic.
No, you're absolutely correct. That is I think 18th Avenue. Now that we're having a discussion, and Mr. Davis, your neighbors are right. So.
I mean, there are accidents there once a week.
Right. So we're gonna increase the stop signs, but to the point. Most of these are somewhat easy fix, but I know you've never talked to me about 10 to 2 and the overnight parking and the inconveniences of your guests and so forth and so on. So that's the reason why we're here. I think we can figure those things out. I think that's an easy remedy. So to the point, once you know what we're planning to do, you give us your feedback, you tell us what your concerns are, then we try and work around, we try and work in unison to figure out our goals and your needs.
Yeah, I live in the 2000 block also, and I'm just did it with my neighbors. It's not that we don't want people to park overnight, but when we do have company, and that could be once a month, once a week, we just want to feel like not have to get out and I have to park in front of her garage. My cousin got to park in front of his garage. We're working that out, but we should be able to have company, like they say, after 10 o'clock. And my other issue, I see that right there. It's just my thought. Are you going to have a no left turn when you get to Roosevelt Road? Because can you imagine, the traffic is already horrible right there at 17th and Roosevelt. Can you imagine somebody trying to make left turns?
Sir, that's a great comment. As a matter of fact, duly noted.
Yeah, other than that, other than the traffic, which we might have to get used to, zooming through the alleys every now and then, that's a big concern coming out of there.
That's a great comment.
Thank you for that.
Duly noted.
Who's next?
This lady right here, there's been having her hand there for so long.
Well, I didn't see her hand. I don't know how long it was held up, but I apologize.
I stay on 2000 18th Avenue. I've been there for 1.5 years now. Thank you. I do think this is a great situation to have the planter, just because we've been observing all the trash that's just thrown out the window. I'll actually sit on my porch, and it's just crazy because I'll just see somebody go down the street and toss out their drink and don't even think nothing about it. And we have to go on a block and, you know, just clean up after people that does not live there. So I do like this forum that you all are talking to us about it. I just want to know what would be the next steps. After you all come to a conclusion, will we have another village meeting to talk to us about it? And when are you looking to get this done?
So the concerns that came up, it'll go to the safety committee. The safety committee will report back to me, and then I'll bring it before the board, or we'll do a committee meeting either through street sidewalks and alleys or through the police committee. Committees, which trustees chair those committees. We'll bring it back. The committee will then make a recommendation to the full board of trustees, and we have to create legislation when we're doing this to get everybody involved to make it legal, and we'll pass it. So after this, once they do the safety committee, it'll come back to me. I'll ask those committee chair people to host a committee meeting to get all of the fact-finding, all of the concerns and questions that came out. Because when we did the committee meeting the first time, this is what came out, the ones that live on 18th Avenue. And I wasn't at the meeting, but I did watch it. And I said, we got to get those residents and get their concerns and questions answered. So that's why we're here now. So the next point is getting the concerns addressed with the stop signs, the turnabout, the planters, and all of that through the safety committee. They'll make a recommendation to me. I'll make a request to the chairs that chair police, fire, and public street sidewalks and alley. You will know about it because we'll make sure that you all have access to it. So we do send out blast emails. Who get the emails that we send out? Okay, and we'll do a robocall. How many get the robocalls? And so we do post on social media, on the village page. The police department will post on their page, Public Works, the mayor have a page, the village of Broadview have a page. So we communicate very well in the village and through email. And even though it's just impacting this block or this 18th Avenue, we want to get feedback from everybody that live here, because guess what? They're going to shop in the Roosevelt Road corridor, and they may not walk, they may drive. So it's going to be an impact to all of us at some point. So yeah, that's the next step. Is they got to go back to the safety committee, because we got to include fire, you know, because if it's an emergency, how do the paramedics and the fire trucks get through? So that's why we have a safety committee, and the safety committee is the police chief, the fire chief, director of public works, the building commissioner, and if it's a financial component that's involved with that, like we got to expend finances such as this, then we include the finance team. Okay? You're welcome. All right, see you. You're going to be last because you're the trustee.
Good afternoon, everyone. I live in the 2100 block on 18th Avenue. Myself, I've been there for over 42 years. And my neighbor, Teresa, that alley, if you have the cars going one way and turn around, I can tell you what's going to happen. They're going to go through the alley. They're not going to come back this way. And then they're going to go through the alley, they're going to come down the alleys, and you can't, you know, it's going to be a lot, it's just dangerous to me. Because when you're coming out and they're flying through the alley, there's an accident going to happen. Because I guarantee you, they're not going to come back to Roosevelt Road, they're going to go down the alley.
And ma'am, once again, we experienced exactly what you're talking about, the cul-de-sacs on the north side. And the mitigating measures was speed bumps initially, but also enforcement. They're gonna ride down your alley regardless. They're riding down there now. I know that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay?
That's why I'm saying
So right, they're riding down there now. So let me say what I gathered from this meeting was.
Is that a wrap-up comment? Because I want to get all the questions answered, and then you can wrap it up. Any other questions besides? Okay, let me get you. I'll get you, then Commissioner Turner, then Trustee Armour, and then Director Ames, and the Chief can wrap it up.
Hi, my name is Margaret Jackson. I live in the 2100 block on 18th, and my concern is the visitor parking 10 to 2, just like their concern. Well, we need to have some type of stickers, because at 10 o'clock when your visitors are there, it's hard to tell people, oh, it's time for you to go because we haven't contacted Village Hall, you know. So we need to get some type of stickers or something that they can put in their car instead of calling the village hall whenever we have company.
We heard the concerns earlier, and those concerns will be addressed, and it'll be followed up when we have the committee chairs host a meeting on what the outcome is going to be with that. Okay. It's not your turn yet.
Good morning, everyone. I'm your former trustee, Gwen Turner. Currently Commissioner, Chair of the Broadview Police and Fire Commissioners Board. I am a block captain. I live a block away from Director Ames over here in 80 Acres. It was a hot mess over there before we got these cul-de-sacs. Everything and everybody was coming through there. The cul-de-sacs, we put the cul-de-sacs up and it is much quieter, it's much calmer. Even the foot traffic is not like it used to be. So yeah, it's an inconvenience, but I would rather for you guys to be inconvenienced than to get hit or have your children or your grandbabies hit. Safety is my #1 concern. When I was a trustee back then, people were complaining about the cul-de-sacs. I'm like, do you want to be safe or dead? Think about it like that. So yeah, you might have to make a block to come back into your house, but we want you safe, okay? So please think about that. It's to your best interest. I want to piggyback off of this young man sitting in the back here. That was my question, making a left turn, making a right turn. How are you gonna see, because you have cars parked on Roosevelt Road, how are people gonna see over the cars that's parked right there to get safely out on Roosevelt Road?
Thank you, trustee, former trustee, now.
Something earlier was said about the economic impact to the residents, and that's one thing I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the economic impact of all of this on all of us. And what I mean by that is that the cost of the resident-only parking, how much is that going to cost, if it's going to cost the residents in the 2100 block? How much will that be if there is a cost for it? Hopefully it won't be a cost for it, but it's subject to be. And then I got my one question answered. I just always like to be able to plan the finances and the recurring bills that I have to pay in my home. So I know you guys are all concerned about that as well. So yeah, let us know how much this is going to impact us from an economical standpoint. And I really love the planters. I said that earlier. I like the idea that all of this is going to make our neighborhood safer, because I know that I'm not the only one in the 2100 block that works very hard to keep their lawns and, you know, to keep it clean around the house. And, you know, when that north wind blows, I'm telling you, it's just like forget everything, okay? Because you're just gonna have to do, you know, the same work that you did yesterday on Saturday, on Sunday again. And then people literally sit there, they get the Uncle's Remy's chicken, and it's okay to eat in your car, but, you know, take your trash with you. You know, don't just dump it on the street. And you know, I interact with people all the time. I love people. And, you know, I ask a lot of them, I say, do you actually live in Broadview? If they're sitting in front of my house, I'll say hi. You know, I'm a real friendly person. And I'll say hi. And can I ask you a question? And, you know, they'll say, yeah. And I was just like, you know, do you live in Broadview? Most of them say no. And they just, you know, don't even care about our community. So this shows people that they just can't come into Broadview and do whatever they want without, you know, having to give us something. Either they're going to put some money in the meter, because, you know, we need revenue in this town. We need a lot of revenue coming in. They can make that left turn or that right turn, but then we have a parking lot. If they make that left turn, right, at 19?
If they make the right turn.
Yeah, there's a parking lot. Yeah, you can put some money in the meter, you know, and so I'm kind of like that, you know, give us something. Don't just come here and abuse our community and act like we don't even exist. We as a people don't exist. recognize.
Thank you, Trustee Yarman. So we're going to wrap it up with Chief Mills and Director Ames to wrap it up. But I do want to say thank you all for coming out and letting us listen to your concerns. Like I said, the next follow-up will be the Safety Committee will meet. They will report back to me. And then I will make a recommendation to those committee chairs and make sure that you guys get the information so that you can come to the committee meeting to hear the findings that we came up with. The intent is not to create more bills for anybody that live in Broadview, but the intent is to make sure that we're safe and we're in a viable, thriving community, and we work in transparency in everything that we do. We don't have anything to hide. We don't have any secrets. And we're not doing anything indiscretionable as it relates to our finances. We do pay our bills in the village of Broadview. Some of us do. Thank you.
I've got a mic here, Mayor.
Again, as the mayor said, and thank you all for coming out. This is huge. I got 2 pages of notes. I have 2 pages of notes, the no left turn and the build outs and everything. Those are great, great suggestions. And you know, I'm new here, so I don't know how a lot of the things happened before, but what I am big on is transparency and community input. And one of the things I stress when I go into businesses is that we have to also hold the businesses accountable to be good neighbors to the residents of Broadview. So if you see issues, if you don't want to address the businesses themselves, call the police department, send us an email. We have no problems going to discuss, have a friendly discussion with the businesses, because we have to hold them accountable as well. You know, that's first and foremost. The enforcement piece, trust me, that's an easy fix. I say that all the time about being a police. It's a very easy job because we take care of the laws. But again, at the same time, we don't want to hurt our residents here in Broadview. And as I stated earlier, majority of the traffic that's coming through Broadview are not Broadview residents, and they're spending money here. They are spending money. I've heard it. I've had pictures and everything. They were like, oh, no, I live here, I live there, but it's safe. So that's a testament to Broadview right there. You know, so again, you know, change is hard. I think the important part of this is what we did today, and then further communication and messaging. And I think we'll work this out. So
I am not going to stay long, but I am going to just point out a few bullet points that I gathered. One of the biggest concerns is your overnight guests, the visitors. It would be my suggestion, obviously, whatever that solution is, it's not going to be any cost to the resident. That should definitely not happen. We've got 4-way stops, or should I say all stops, at 18th and Harvard and 18th and Fillmore. We've got the no left turn at the top of 18th and Roosevelt Road. We've got a concern about the alley traffic. And it's, again, but I think those are the key takeaways. And if in fact I missed something or we missed something, please, you can call the chief if it's an afterthought. You can call me at Public Works if it's an afterthought. Hey, you know, didn't think about this when you guys had the meeting, but what if? Please, we welcome your input and look forward to it, actually. That being said, thank you all for coming out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we look forward to seeing you soon.